Did you ever get lost on a trail before? Let me know in the comments below. And be sure to like and subscribe because today I'm going to tell you a very scary story about getting lost in the mountains and being stalked by the unseen. Pico de Loro climb. Endless trail. A stormy climb on Pico de Loro. Pico de Loro, or Parrot's Beak, was no stranger to me. By 2005, I had climbed it countless times. I knew its rhythm, its resting spots, its sudden inclines. That weekend, joining a local mountaineering group, I felt sure-footed and ready. No surprises, I thought. But the mountain had other plans. There were about 14 of us in total, 5 experienced mountaineers and 9 newer members. I was among the experienced climbers. We had 2 guides, 2 acting as tail, and 1 sweeper roles we rotated as needed. Solid formation meant for safety and support. A structure built on trust. We reached the campsite by late afternoon. Earlier during the ascent, some of the newer members had been loud and unruly, shouting, laughing boisterously, even climbing onto large boulders for selfies while disregarding the trail. A few seniors warned them to be more respectful, especially since mountains, in local belief, are considered sacred. But the warnings were brushed off. The excitement of the climb had gotten to their heads, and their behavior bordered on reckless. Looking back, it was easy to wonder if their actions, careless and disrespectful, had stirred something in the mountain, as if the land had taken offense. It was March, summer season in the Philippines, when rain is rare and the skies usually stay clear. The air should have been dry, the sky blue, and the sunset golden. But instead, a heavy stillness hung over the forest, broken only by the occasional rustle of unseen branches. The clouds that hovered low and the sudden gusts of wind felt strange, like a warning, like the mountain itself was holding its breath. We set camp shortly after. There were a lot of new members, and we had to make sure everyone was accounted for. When the count was complete, we ate quickly, then huddled together for warmth and watched the storm break overhead. There were about 4 tents in total, each housing 3 to 4 people. We shared jokes to keep our spirits high, but the humor was forced. Soon, the laughter died down, and we were left in the dark, listening to the rain battering our tents. It was a terrible night. The rain came down harder than anyone expected, turning the forest floor into a torrent. Our tents soaked through, sleeping bags turned into sponges. Cooking was impossible, and hunger gnawed at our insides. We huddled together, shivering in the dark, wishing for morning. We lay in darkness, wet and cold, hoping dawn would bring a break. It didn't. The rain had softened into a drizzle, but everything was drenched. The trail was a mess of mud and loose roots. Decided to descend, heads low, bodies tired. The path I knew so well had become a stranger. The descent dragged on. What would usually take an hour and a half felt like eternity. The muddy trail demanded every ounce of balance, every careful step. My climbing buddy and I trudged through it in silence, hoping the next bend would lead to something familiar. Our bodies grew heavier with every step, and then hunger set in. We had no food left. The rain had spoiled whatever was left in our packs. We began looking for fruit-bearing trees. Combing the edges of the trail and craning our necks upward, nothing, not a single fruit. Desperate, we tore a few leaves from a tree and examined them. We didn't know if they were edible. We didn't care. We chewed slowly, cautiously, driven not by appetite but the sheer need to put something in our stomachs. The leaves were bitter, their taste clinging to our mouths long after we swallowed. Not long after, my steps became heavier. My buddy was a few steps ahead of me, didn't mind because I could still see his bag. My eyes were fixed on the camping bag strapped to his back. A red bag, slightly faded. I don't know why, but I couldn't take my eyes off it. I picked up my pace, trying to match his stride. But no matter how fast I walked, the bag kept getting smaller. I frowned. Why can't I catch up? The fog thickened, and a gust of wind blew straight into my face. I instinctively squinted, shielding my eyes with my hand. When I opened them again, the bag was gone. Gone. No trace, no sound. Just trees, mist, and the trail ahead. I froze. My chest tightened. Ahead, I thought I saw someone standing in the field, half hidden behind the stalks. At first, I assumed it was one of the local vendors. Those who sometimes climbed the mountain to sell soft drinks and instant noodles to weary hikers. But as I looked closer, I realized something was off. This wasn't the usual man with a pack of goods. The figure was wearing a skirt. It was a girl. My scalp tingled. My breath caught. Didn't wait to understand. My instincts took over and I walked. No, I marched as fast as I could. The bamboo field was just ahead. The one with the arched stalk, bent low but unbroken. Goosebumps climbed my arms again. That old story echoed in my mind. When a bamboo is bowed but not broken, a spirit is present. And it is said that the reason why the bamboo stalks are bent is because an entity perch on them. They're invisible to the naked eye, so all you see are the bowed stalks. As if someone is sitting there, watching. The edge of the trail was littered with more bamboo trees, each one bent low, almost brushing the muddy ground. I stopped, heart thudding in my chest. The silence was louder now, the kind that made your ears ring. I looked again at the curved bamboo stalks, swaying slightly even though the wind had died down. It dawned on me, slow, creeping, undeniable, maligno. In Filipino folklore, maligno refers to supernatural beings that dwell in nature, enchanted spirits, elementals, or entities that can lead people astray, cause illness, or manipulate their surroundings. They can take on human forms or create illusions, luring travelers deeper into the wilderness with whispers or false trails. The proper response is often humility and respect. To acknowledge their presence without offense. One phrase passed down for generations is whispered when walking through these shadowed places. Tabi tabi po, nuno. Roughly meaning, excuse me, elder, it is not just courtesy, it's protection. The nuno ese punso, or old man of the mound, is said to live in anthills and earthen mounds, watching those who pass. Disturbing a mound without asking permission is believed to provoke the nuno's wrath, causing swollen limbs, sudden illness, or strange, unending confusion. Some say, if you don't speak the words, you might never leave the forest the same, or leave it all. In the hush of trees and twisted roots, the phrase becomes a quiet plea for safe passage, a murmur against the unseen that listens from the shadows. I whispered under my breath, Tabi tabi po, nuno. I kept walking, slower now, more careful. The forest felt thick with something unseen. So many things came flooding back to my mind. Stories I used to laugh at. And I couldn't help but wonder if those unruly moments earlier had played a part, if the mountain had remembered and responded. Tales from other mountaineers about people who vanished on familiar trails, only to be found hours later replaced by tree trunks or boulders in the spot where they once stood. Stories about those taken by the unseen, only to return disoriented and unable to explain where they'd been. Back then, I dismissed them as campfire legends. But alone on that trail, in that fog, with the image of that disappearing red bag fresh in my mind, those stories no longer seemed so funny. Eventually, the trail widened, and familiar voices called out through the mist. I emerged, mud-covered and weary, into a clearing where part of the group had gathered. Moments later, my buddy came stumbling down another fork of the path, equally exhausted and silent. I thought you were ahead, he said. I thought you were behind, I answered, then paused. There was someone in front of me. I followed them for a while, but then they were just gone. He looked at me, quiet, no teasing. It's just a knowing nod. Later, at the jump-off after we regrouped, there was little laughter. Even the unruly newcomers were quiet, their earlier energy drained. A few exchanged uneasy glances as if replaying the day in their minds. No one said it out loud, but the question hung heavy in the air. Had we disrespected something we shouldn't have? We left the mountain that night, shaken but relieved to be away from the endless trail. It was a humbling experience. And in the years since, I've made sure to respect the trails and the stories that come with them. But we left with something else. A story, a reminder that no matter how many times you climb a mountain, it can still surprise you, confuse you, even scare you a little. Because on some days, you don't just walk the trail walks with you. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this episode, please hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications. This way you won't miss any of our future videos. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.